Hi there, and welcome to today's vlog. And I'm just in awe of modern technology, modern communication methods. I've just had a Zoom chat with a good friend of mine, Cleve, who is a member of the church in Florida, where I was able to preach over the summer when we did a bit of an exchange with friends of ours who came over to the UK. We went to Florida and made this friendship, and we were just able to chat on Zoom. Even though he's in Florida, I'm in the UK. It was just like you're sitting in the same room, and it's not modern in some ways. It's not just cutting edge, but it's something I guess that we got used to Zoom during lockdown, and it's a fantastic thing that we can just chat and have time of fellowship together. So anyway, and communication is really what I want to talk about today. I remember when I was growing up, sometimes my mum and dad would have falling out, disagreements, arguments, whatever you want to call it. And I remember on more than one occasion, mum used to say, "Oh, it's a matter of communication." And absolutely right, that a lot of the problems we have in relationships is to do with communication, or rather miscommunication. We're not good at communicating with others sometimes, and that can cause misunderstandings and disagreements, falling outs, arguments, or whatever. And so communication is really, really important. In fact, I'm going to no, it's not a seminar, it's a talk in a couple of weeks' time on, or called the Heart of Communication, and that's for those who are involved in preaching ministry. On earlier in the week, Sue and I attended a funeral in Cheshire. It's a long-standing family friend who died, and we went there to support the family mainly. He'd been attending for a long time the local Roman Catholic Church, and the funeral was at the Catholic Church. And I thought, well, they often or usually have mass, don't they, Catholic funerals? And so I thought, expecting a long service, but actually it was remarkably short in some ways. The priest was Irish. Nothing wrong with being Irish. Sue is half Irish, but he spoke so quickly in his Irish accent that maybe 50% of what he said I picked up. So it was quite difficult to understand what he was saying most of the time. And he didn't celebrate Mass, but he went through it at such a pace. I was amazed at how quickly that went, how quickly the whole service went. Although two of the gentlemen who died, adult children, shared a eulogy, and they spoke really, really well. Amazing how they could do that. And the grandson also shared a reading. He spoke really, really well, very clearly. But just reminded me the importance that when we're communicating, especially when it's the gospel, we communicate effectively in a way that people can hear and understand. So how do we communicate the gospel? Because Jesus calls his followers to be witnesses, to bear witness to the good news that is in him. So how do we communicate? Well, we can communicate with words. Jesus talks about, or Paul writes, doesn't he? If you believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord and confess him with your lips, you shall be saved. So our faith is not just something to keep within us, it's something to express. And we can express it with our words, but it's no good expressing with words unless our lives back it up, is it? So we do communicate, we do witness to the gospel with our words, but we've got to live it out with our lives. If we're saying one thing but living another thing, or living a lie, then our witness will be ineffective, completely ineffective. So I suppose there's the question: how effective are you and I in communicating the gospel? Are we prepared when opportunities arise to speak of our faith, to share the good news of God's love in Christ? And how do our lives communicate the gospel? Now that's a really challenging thing. Does my life, does your life communicate the gospel of God's love and the salvation that we can have in Jesus Christ? So there we are. Hope I've communicated that effectively. Anyway, there's your thought for today. How does my life communicate the gospel of Jesus? God bless you. Thank you so much for listening today.